Okay, so as you can see here, I have two interfaces. One is the Quantum, PreSonus Quantum, and a Ferrofish Pulse 16. And what's going on here basically is the pulse is connected to the Quantum via ADAT, and basically I have 24 ins and outs. Pretty much accessing all of them. And with this system, you don't have to have two interfaces, by the way. I just needed more than 8 in and outs, which is what the Quantum has. But I can basically monitor stuff live. I can sequence it live, like aka the S750 or any drum machine. It's the outputs from the hardware are going into either one of these, and then from there into my DAW, and I bring it up on separate channels, and I sequence stuff, VSTs, audio parts from the DAW alongside hardware running, all running in real time. So, but this brings up an issue of latency, and this is what this video is really about. And I'm going to explain, well, this is part of the explanation. This is just showing you how I get the sound from the hardware, goes into here, and from here it goes into the DAW, or basically the software, right? And I've got, like I say, I've got the S750, I've got analog synths, drum machines, I've got the Sonic DP4, I've got outboard EQs and compressors, all going into these interfaces, so I can bring them up at any time inside any DAW that I'm using. And it's a very flexible system, but like I say, there is no getting away from the fact that this induces latency. And I think I've got a little thing running at the moment. Yeah. So you can see the meters running on both of them. Not too much stuff just now, but enough to give you an idea. And that's basically live inputs. Yeah, I think that's all S770 actually. Right. Now I'm going to mention another box, the Osamo. And this Osamo box here, this is what I use to take sample accurate MIDI. What it does is it reads MIDI notes and converts, converts audio to MIDI. And it takes the timing from your DAW, which is sample accurate, and it sends out sample accurate MIDI. So I've got this connected to basically anything that receives MIDI. And I'm just using like basic MIDI through in, MIDI through in, and it works fine. And as you can see there, that's the S770, the green light means it's receiving MIDI. Okay, so now let's have a look at the DAW itself. What we have here, the blue ones, they are MIDI, right? These ones here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 5 are the S770. So MIDI's being sent out to the S770, and the audio is coming back here on these white channels, right? So there's also the ARP Odyssey in there. So first of all, I'm just going to play a couple of things from the S770. So there's a kick drum, S770, a hand clap, and I'll bring in that bass line. And there's a little synth line on top of that. So as you can hear, that's in time, right? No problem, right? But now, let's just bring it down to the hand clap, kick, and the bass line. And I'll put in this 909 hat, which is internal drum rack from Simpler, right? So you're going to hear it out of time, basically. This sounds a bit late, the hi-hat. You hear that? It's out of time. There's a ride cymbal in, another hand clap. So these three here are drum racks, internal Ableton instruments, right? So you just heard latency. It's not, these are in time. These are 100% in time, these internal ones with the Ableton master clock. No problem with them. The problem is, by the time the MIDI is sent from here to the instrument, the S770 or the ARP Odyssey or whatever else I've got plugged in, and by the time the audio comes from the hardware back in through the converters that you saw earlier, back through here monitoring in real time, it's all, you know, this is out of sync with the internal stuff. And that just won't do, will it? And even, just to let you see this, the MIDI going to the S770 is going through this Usamo box, the other one that you saw earlier. So what we need to do is delay this, the S770 stuff, either back in time or forward in time. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but I'm just going to show you that just you play around until you get it right. And what we want to do is sync up the incoming audio with the outgoing audio, kind of like that, but we want to sync this section here with this section here. Now, as you can see, all DAWs, by the way, have a little delay function per track. I can't think of a DAW that doesn't have this. Someone made a comment about Machine just has a universal delay function, which could be which can help you, but it probably won't fix the issue. You kind of really need individual delays per track. And what I would do here, I would just get the kick drum to go in time with another kick drum, right? But playing from the DAW. So there's the S770 kick, and I'm going to bring in one playing from an Ableton Simpler and play them at the same time. And you can hear they're out of time, right? And what I would do here, I want to delay this one. I mean, I could delay that one. See, this is the thing. I'm going to do a second video on this because it really needs something like half an hour to go through all the various angles that you can do to kind of get it in time. I mean, you can delay your audio, your VST tracks, or you can delay your incoming audio, the MIDI tracks that correspond to them. You can put delays on them. And just now, I'm delaying the hardware inputs. That's what I'm going to be doing. Anything that's coming into the interface from hardware, that's the channels I'm going to be delaying. Now, on Ableton, you've got a delay per track function here. And I just happen to know that I need to delay this back in time. So basically that MIDI needs to go out earlier, be sent out from the DAW earlier. The MIDI here needs to be sent out earlier than the playback of the DAW stuff. Am I making any sense here? It can seem a bit complex. But this is what I would do, right? So I'm going to just delay this until it feels right. Well, look at that. Minus 11 milliseconds seems to be about right. Oh, I didn't mean to actually. I wanted to change that to samples to see what it was in samples, but it doesn't matter. Oh, it tells you there actually down at the bottom. So 11 milliseconds, I'm delaying stuff by 465 samples. Not bad. Now, what I would do there, I could do that on every track, right? But that's what you would do if you don't have the USAMO, this box here. Remember I showed you that earlier on. So because all the MIDI being sent to external hardware, I need to delay it all as a universal number. I may as well just delay the USAMO, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And we know that it's minus 11, so I'm just going to put that to minus 11. And voila. Now, what that means is, and I'd say those, you know, I could mess about. It could be minus 9, it could be minus 13, 14. You could, you know, don't sweat it. Trust your ears at the end of the day. It's really important. I spent 10 years on this stuff. The USAMO box didn't exist, and I pulled my hair out trying to get external boxes in time, sending MIDI from a DAW to external boxes in time with VSTs and what have you. And it was just a nightmare because not only, even when I got it kind of roughly there, the USB or the MIDI interfaces we were using 10, 15 years ago, our computers actually, it probably wasn't the MIDI interfaces. We just got like a tremendous amount of jitter and it was unusable. You really couldn't use it. Apart from maybe like an 8-bar section here and there where it might play in time, you know. And it was just quite a nightmare because I was so used to working in a MIDI-based studio, a MIDI hardware-based studio where the song was written completely with MIDI. There was no plugins or anything. And I had a mixing console and everything was done like that. And then you would just render mix down the track in real time to a DAT machine, a stereo DAT machine. That's pretty much how it worked. So when DAWs came on the go, it actually felt like we were going back in time. I just couldn't believe that this wasn't sorted. And it went on year after year after year, and there was like huge threads on Gearsluts and other forums about stuff like this, and people saying that it totally works. The MIDI is perfect from PC and Mac. Total nonsense, by the way, because I tried it all. But technology happened. So a few years ago, this box came out. Previous to this box, I had inner clock systems which would send MIDI clock only to any external box. And it was like cool, but it was kind of like, yeah, but I was never really a guy that composed using an external sequencer. I just used the Atari. And I wanted to use, the same principle with my DAW, you know. I just wanted the DAW to be able to send out MIDI and stuff would be in time. But it just never happened until this box came out, which not only can send MIDI clock, it sends MIDI note data, as you can see. So there's all the MIDI note data. So everything here, this MIDI stuff, is going to this first. It's sending the information to that box that you saw earlier on. There's a MIDI out from that box, which I've connected up my external hardware. And it works great. Sometimes I get a few glitches here and there. There definitely is that. But for the most part, it's a joy to use compared to what I was trying to do 10 years ago. I gave up. I gave up trying to get it to work. And I started working in the box for a few years, not using any hardware at all, because it was just a waste of time. Being an electronic-based musician, and I needed the sequencer to play stuff in time, right? You know, it's kind of obvious. It's like you'll sometimes read on forums, people, I won't mention any drum machines that have got really quite sloppy timing. TR-909. Its internal sequencer isn't actually that great. It's very sloppy, actually. And then people will say, oh, but it adds human feel. No, it doesn't. It's actually just adding slop. Human feel, I want to be able to add human feel. Like, if I want to take this note and just shift it back or forward a little bit, I want it to play at that position every single time. I don't want it just being random. So machines, a drum machine or a sequencer, it's designed to play in time. It's not designed to have a bit of slop built in. No, I don't want that. And it sounds crap anyway, you know. You build your own human feel, and if you record stuff unquantized and it's a really great feel that you got from that performance, you want that to play back exactly the notes to play back exactly that positions every single time. So if you've got like MIDI jitter, bit of slop, and notes are like a millisecond out here and there, just all random, the performance is gone, you know. The human ear is very susceptible to groove. It can pick it up quite easily. Anyway, I've kind of forgotten where I was. So I'll ramble on a bit, right? So all the MIDI from the Asamo is delayed 11 milliseconds. And so that's just the S770 stuff playing at the moment. So hopefully this stuff will be in time. This is the Ableton Simplers, playing a 909 hat, clap, there's a ride cymbal there. Now let's turn off, I'll turn off the delay, right? And there we go. Bad timing again. And let's put it back. And there you go. Now, no matter what MIDI tracks I add, if I send to the Asamo, I know that it's going to be in time with the DAW stuff. And you need to have this happen, by the way. It's not like I can maybe bother doing that. You absolutely need this to happen. If you're working with hardware and you want to play audio, VSTs, even drums, you know, whatever. You know, I mix and match. As you can see, I've got a kick drum and a clap coming from the S770, but I've got some hats coming from Ableton Simplers. And these channels, by the way, this is the live audio coming in. I also have Art Odyssey, playing a little line. I also have the DP4 with some effects. Let's throw that in the mix as well. Just before I end the video, quite an important point here. I have a buffer setting of, it's called block size on the Quantum 128. And obviously we can go right up to 4096. Now, if I change that, let's just put it to 5. Knocked it out of time, right? So I would need to go and change the Asamo settings again, the track delay there. And what you can do there to just kind of avoid having to worry about anything like that is you could take a note each time for a buffer setting. If you have to be higher than 1024 for anything, there's something wrong. But yeah, you could take a note for 256, 128, 64. If you can get down to 32, I can get down to 64 in this system, but when I'm recording video at the same time and stuff, I have to, minimum I can get away is 128. But basically, yeah, that knocked it out of time. So you're kinda having to do another adjustment. So we'll just put this back to so that's basically it. Was just that this video was just to let you know it is solvable, but you will need a sound card, by the way. If you've just got a stereo in and out, a 2 in 2 out sound card, it's not going to work for you. You need a minimum four outs anyway, right? But I think if you're going to be using hardware, you're going to have minimum 8 ins and outs. So you'll use, because this Asamo uses 1 out. See, I've got it set to external out, channel 17. It's going through the Ferrofish, the Pulse 16, the Ferrofish Pulse 16. It's the audio from this plugin has been sent to that. And from the box, it converts that audio to MIDI, and then it sends it to my hardware. And I bring it back in, and everything's in time. Voila. All right then, thanks for watching.